All right, so thanks very much for joining us here today. Wonderful to have you along for our, I guess this is the second in the series of webinars around saving 8 hours in every week. And a bit embarrassingly, the last one, the 60-minute webinar, went for about 90 minutes. And I think I tried to just cram too much into that day, and I thought it was a really good opportunity for us to come back and have a good hard look at the apps and the tools and the programs that we should be using to improve our productivity. And there's lots of interest in that, so we've had a great registration for this webinar. It's one of my more popular ones, so that's been really good. So I appreciate you coming along and getting involved. So first thing is, make sure you're ready. Get yourself a pen, get a copy of the handout to make some notes if you haven't got it, or get yourself a pad or something to do it. If you need to, you can probably quickly race out and grab a cold beverage or something if you need to have a drink. And then I want you to think a little bit outside the square, because I think often we think too much in a linear mode when we start thinking about apps and tools and things, and we get stuck in, I guess, the rut around the mainstream products that that are out there. So let's just start to go through it. All right. Now, my apologies, I'm using different technology tonight, so I'm using somebody else's computer, which is actually proof of the way that the system works, which is really quite powerful. So it's enabled me, I'm staying with friends here on the Gold Coast, and I've logged on using their desktop. Interestingly, I've got access to all my files, all my systems, all those sorts of things, and I think that's what it's about, is getting a system that works for you. Now, I travel a lot, so mobility is really important to me, but too many other people travel as well, and we often work from home and do other things. So part of what I want to talk about tonight is how do we build an ecosystem of tools and programs. And I use the word ecosystem quite deliberately, because for me it's around linkages and something that actually works as a system to enhance your productivity, not to detract from it. So I'm not talking about how let's have 27 different apps, none of which talk to each other, none of which do anything useful. I want us to get up with an ecosystem of apps that really add some productivity into your life. All right, now in the past we've talked about productivity improvement, and we've talked about this time management pyramid, and we've talked about the importance of getting our belief systems right. So we've spent some time talking around, it's all about attitude, and those two really powerful words, focus and discipline. So it's about getting those sort of things as part of it. It's about getting rid of the waste and inefficiency out of your time management. You need to do that in your business as well. I'm off next week to spend 2 days working with an organisation to pull the waste and inefficiency out of their business, but we need to do it in terms of our time management as well. And then lastly, we need to get the structure right, so the tools and the things that we need. So make sure we're using the tools at our disposal. So today's really going to be talking about the structural elements as opposed to the waste and the belief stuff. Okay, so that's where we're heading. So what I really want to talk about are productivity tools that work, okay? And I find too many people have powerful tools that they use that just don't work. They don't work with each other. They're actually a pain in the neck. So what I'm talking about here is a couple of powerful words. We're talking about synergy. So I want our tools to be synergistic, okay? I want them to build on each other and leverage off each other, and I want them to be integrated. So I want you to have integration. I want them to work across multiple platforms in multiple ways. So they're the things we're going to talk about, and I'll take you through a bit of a methodology that I've been using to really pare back the amount of apps and things that I've been using and focus on the ones that really add value to me. And we'll go through some of those tonight, give you some examples of how I use them and the sort of things that work. All right, now the first thing I want to talk about is, what is your core technology? And I think this is really important. It's really important because you need it to all work together. And if it doesn't work seamlessly, if you've got some apps and programs and stuff that run on one thing and not on the other, it becomes really quite painful and really quite difficult. Now, I'm quite an unabashed fan of Apple technology, so I'm all Mac and I'm all Mac, iPad, iPhone. And there's a really good reason for that. They all just work together. Okay, so it just works. In our family, we had some challenges with certain members of the family wanting to go to Samsung products and do other things. that was all fine, and I actually think in some ways the phones were a better phone. So the Samsung phone I actually think was a better phone, or the HTC phone, or whatever it was at the time, I actually think it was a better phone than my iPhone. There's no doubt about that. Easy to use, just smarter and everything else. The problem was, as soon as we wanted to transfer any information around or get other programs to run on and stuff, they just weren't available, and they just didn't run smoothly, and they didn't share information quickly and easily. So when it came time to swap over and we got a new phone, it took me an hour and a half to transfer the data for one of those phones to another and get it there. With my Apple, I just plugged in the new one. iTunes said, "Hey, is this a new phone? Do you want to restore it from an old phone?" I went, "Yeah, restore it from the last one." 20 minutes later, I'm fully operational. So you want to make sure your core technology works together, and I don't mind whether you with Windows or Android. It doesn't really matter. The operating system's not important that you work with, because I think there's great products in all of those, but I think you want to make sure that your systems all work together. Now, that doesn't mean you can't use an iPhone with a Microsoft product or something else. You just want to make sure that the software and the apps you select work across all those environments. Okay, that's all I'm talking about. But to do that, you need to understand your core technology. So just into the question area, just tell me, what's your core technology? Is it around an operating system, or is there some other methodology that you're using to determine what's your core technology? So for me, it's Apple. Unabashed Apple fan. Back into the question area. What is your core technology? Yeah, Apple, 100% Apple. Android and PC, yeah, they can work well together. What's we got? Apple, big Apple fans, obviously. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, yeah. So we got an Acer laptop, Samsung phone, and tablet. So yeah, some continuity there across the thing. Windows based, yeah. Android and Microsoft, Microsoft computer, yeah. So all those things work together, okay? No, PC, Android, they all work together, yeah. So the important thing is making sure that you've got some core technology, and we're going to start talking about some software solutions, or apps as we call them now, but software solutions that fit with that core technology. But I think you need to really understand what it is, and when you go to replace it, you want to make sure you're replacing it with technology that you can easily upgrade and share your information across. So when we're talking about apps, then I guess the where am I here? Oh. Some of the basic principles that I think of when I'm looking then at apps and things to run across my technology is there's sort of three key areas. It needs to interface, right? So it needs to be your interoperability, right? So it needs to operate across multiple platforms, and ideally I want it to be on all platforms. Yeah. And that's really important. And then the data needs to synchronize or be available across those different platforms. So what I love about some of the tools I use, and it doesn't matter whether I'm on my phone, or my iPad, or a desktop, or it's somebody else's desktop on a Windows machine even, I can still access a lot of that information that I need. Okay, so really important that it interfaces well with others. It needs to be fit for purpose. So I find, best of breed used to be something that was really difficult, because often programs didn't talk to each other and didn't do things. But if you get the interface right, then you can actually pick programs that really are very, very good and very powerful, almost best of breed. So you don't have to go with the same family. So in the good old days, if you went with a certain operating system or a certain whatever, then you had to buy all the products that fitted with that. Now you can actually buy best of breed stuff that works across it. And then lastly, I think it's important that the stuff you choose, the stuff you choose lifts your productivity, okay? And I'm talking about stuff that really does lift your productivity. So it needs to improve your communication. It must help you with the waste and the structural issues. So it's got to help you reduce the amount of time you're spending doing things, and it's got to all the things, I guess, work together to do that. But really important that the stuff you pick really good quality stuff that actually is going to help lift your productivity, and is not just a nice gimmick. And I think that's one of the real dangers with software, that we start to pick things that are bits of gimmicks for us, and we go, yeah. All right, now we're having some problems with the audio. Anybody else have any problems? I will record this. If it continues to play up, then I'll probably record another version. Okay, all right. Seems everybody else is having a little bit of trouble with audio, so my apologies there. Okay, so we'll just carry on. So I think that's really important. Now, when you start to think about an ecosystem, I start to think about what are the key areas of that ecosystem that I want to get right. And for me, I've sort of mapped out these 7 or 8 areas anyway, 7 areas that are really important for me. The first one is about, and no in order of importance necessarily, these will vary from, I guess, business to business, but stuff you need to start thinking about is, where do we store our client information? Yeah? And I've had this discussion with 2 clients in the last 2 days, and we've been talking about this. And unfortunately, lots of people are storing their really valuable client and sales information in their accounting system. Right? So what happens is we actually end up with the wrong people. So we can't use that then for marketing and sales and other things, and we don't keep all the right information often for people. So the challenge is making sure that you collect that client information in the right way. And I'm talking about customer relationship management systems, CRM systems, and those sorts of things. But be very wary about keeping it all in your accounting system, because often the people you send your invoices and your bills to aren't the people who make the decision to buy your products and services. So I think that client information stuff is pretty important, because it's how we market and sell our business in a modern electronic world, and we need to track our customers and those sorts of things. The second area there is what I call data storage, and that's all your files and data and all those sorts of things. So for me, in my business, that's all my Word files and image files and all that sort of stuff. Okay. And I need to have a way of storing that. That means it's accessible and integrated and all those sorts of things. Some information storage, I'm talking here about reference information. So not necessarily Word documents and client data for me. This is all about reference material, and I'll give you some examples in a little while. But for me, lots of businesses have a need to store information on either product information or other things that won't necessarily be part of their main data storage, because it's available in different formats, because this could be video, it could be anything. Task management. We need to manage tasks. Now, for some businesses, tasks are projects, all right? So you may need a more sophisticated project management system than what I do in my business. But we need to manage tasks, we need to manage projects, we need to stay on top of that sort of stuff. So for many businesses, there's a really strong need for that. Communication is really important. For most of us, email is central. If I look at my ecosystem, my email system is quite central to that. And really important, but there are other communication tools that I use. Skype. I might go to webinar here tonight. I use GoToMeeting quite a bit as well. So they're really important communication tools for me that need to be fit as part of my ecosystem. Finances. I've swapped my whole business over to Xero because it's cloud-based, and it gives me the leverage to log in to other apps and stuff, which really works out. So my Xero file actually links into my CRM. So at a moment's notice, I can when I'm looking at some client data, I can also pull up and see who's paid their bills and who hasn't. Now, luckily they all pay their bills, so there's no naughty ones out there, which is quite good. In terms of and then you'll have some operational software. I don't have lots of operational software in my business, but my MindShop online system that I give my clients access to, and who I coach a number of people through, is absolutely central to my business. So that's operational software. But for other businesses, you may have some very specific operational software that's around recording information and data or whatever. In horticulture, it could be paddock recording systems or plantation recording systems. All right, so they're the sort of areas of the ecosystem. And then the process that I go through then to actually plug things into this ecosystem, I guess there's 6 key steps. First step is define your core technology. Get your desktop, get your mobile technology right and all that sort of stuff. And then make sure the technology works together. Okay, that's absolutely critical, that you make sure you leverage this up and you get your core technology working. Now, I don't mind whether you use Windows or Apple or whatever it is, but make sure your core technology all works together. So that's first. Get the technology sorted. Make sure it's all there. You don't want any orphan bits of technology around, right? You still don't want a Palm Pilot, all right? You don't want your Palm Pilot hanging around. It's time to move on and have a phone that actually is a productive tool. In terms of the second step then for me is about ecosystems. So define the key elements of your ecosystem and map out what they are. Now, I mapped out those 7 areas for my business. For your business, they might be slightly different. You might add on another area and take off another one of those areas or whatever. But map out the key elements of your ecosystem. What are the things you really need to have in your business that are really important? And start with the big chunks. Then I want you to select some core apps that are fit for purpose and productive. Okay, so select your core apps. Now, for me, the core apps are apps that relate to email and those sort of and communication are the core apps. So email, data storage, information storage, all those sort of things are my key apps, and they sort of fit together. And I make sure they all really work together. All right, and I also make sure that they are really productive apps that really help me out. Now, for example, and I'll tell you about the stuff in a minute, some of my stuff in a minute, but I use a program, an email program on my Mac called Cloud Magic. Why do I do that? I find Outlook's not a particularly productive tool for me. It doesn't integrate well with others, particularly the Mac version of it. It just doesn't play well with others, and I don't like the way it interfaces with my calendar and other things, and it's sort of a half CRM without being a full CRM, and it's a bit useless. So I find Outlook just doesn't work for me. So it's not a productive tool for me. Whereas I find that Cloud Magic and some of the others that I use are really powerful. They integrate with my CRM. They do other things for me. So make sure that the apps you pick are fit for purpose and productive. All right, and then think about integration. All right, so do these apps work across all your platforms? Okay. Now, my email app actually doesn't work across all my platforms. There's the app I use on my, which I think is Cloud Magic, which I use on my iPhone and my iPad. Doesn't actually. They've got a version that works on the desktop, but it's not particularly good, and it actually hasn't got all the great features that the stuff on the iOS has got. So at the moment, they're working on getting those features in and locking them in, and when they do, I'll swap to that. Now, in the meantime, I found another app that handles email really well. It's not quite as good, but it's pretty good. It's certainly better than Outlook, and because I use Exchange servers for my email, it doesn't really matter that I've got slightly different programs there because they all work together. All right, so what I've done in the past then is map out a table, and so I put down my core apps down the side, and then I've then written out the other ones and said, okay, what other apps could I look at, and which apps talk to each other? So how do they integrate with other apps? And I've come up with a bit of a table and said, well, that one actually works with that one links with that one links with that one, and then by trial and error, I've managed to get the data sharing and those sort of things right. But I started out by plugging it out and looking at programs going, well, that doesn't work with that or that or that. It's actually fairly useless for me. Or it works with that one and that one, but because it won't work, say, with Evernote, well, that actually makes it fairly ineffective for me. So that's my process, sort of 6 steps. And then, I guess there are different apps we can be using in each one. So into the question area now, I want you to type in. Let's start at the first one. So what are some of the apps that, and let's learn from each other, I guess is what I do. I'm not going to be the font of all knowledge for this stuff. What are some of the really powerful apps that you guys are using for things? Let's start at the top of the list. So what apps are you using for client information storage? So what are you using as a CRM or a way of tracking your sales contacts or your sales pipelines or opportunities and those things? So Capsule, so Capsule's a really popular one. Capsule's a great online CRM. It's a cloud-based system. It's pretty good. I use one called Untitled in that space. Is anybody else using a program? Xero Practice Manager, so it's a step up from Xero, so it's custom designed for accounting packages and that sort of stuff. Basecamp, so is that around are you keeping your client contact information in there, or are you keeping your client program information on that one? Sue's got business cards and rubber bands. Yep, nothing like it, like a good old manual system to drive things. I mean, it doesn't integrate well with other things, but it can work, Sue. Yep, handy soft. Yep. Okay, so there's some of the programs that people. What are we using to store our data? So what are we using to store things like our files and all that sort of stuff? I use OneDrive, but you know, I'm thinking things like OneDrive and Dropbox and Moxie or Mosey or whatever it is. There's a hype of other ones. Yeah, so there's the three of those: OneDrive, Dropbox. Yeah, SharePoint. Yeah, it's a good one. Google Drive. Yeah, Google Drive's good. Okay, so usual suspects and that sort of stuff. Yeah, all on handy soft. Yeah. Okay, great. Information storage, so this is like reference information and that sort of stuff. I use Evernote, but OneNote is particularly good in this space as well, in the Microsoft product. Unfortunately, the Mac version of it's not nearly as good as the Windows version. Yeah, I use Evernote in that space. Anybody else using anything different to either OneNote or Evernote to collect and collate information? Paper, yeah, paper notebooks. We'll talk a bit about paper notebooks to share. Yeah, LiveScribe. I'll show you, and we'll talk about how I use LiveScribe on paper in just a little while. OneNote, perfect. Yeah, Nabil, it is a great program, and I think the Windows version is quite an exceptional program actually. So I encourage you to have a look at it if you're not looking at it. In terms of task management, what are we using to manage our to-do lists and that sort of stuff, apart from a piece of paper and a pen? You know, what are we using? Asana. Okay. I haven't heard of that one, Marcus. Outlook, yeah. So Outlook, you can put tasks and those sorts of things in. Yeah, Trello, yeah, I use Trello with my team. OmniPlan, okay. Basecamp, yeah, Basecamp's a good one. So Basecamp is a great program. It allows people to collaborate. You can put lots of tasks in it. It does basic Gantt charts and more that sort of planning. So it's quite a good one for collaborating with teams. All right. Capsule, yeah, you can put some task management and stuff in there as well. Yeah, whiteboard, yeah. Outlook, yeah, I'm sorry, I just cleared that one, apologies, before I read it all too fast on the thing. So what are we using in terms of communication, everybody? So just quickly, yeah, we got workflow. Thanks for that, Mark. The program's called Trello. I'll take you through in a minute. It's Trello. I'll show you how I use it in just a second. So what are we using for communication? What are we using for email and all those sorts of things? Yep. Skype, Macmail, Basecamp. Yep. Client portals. Yep. Gmail. Yeah. Excellent. The usual suspects in that place. Asana and Macmail. I'm going to have a look at this. Asana. Goldmine. Yeah. Goldmine used to be excellent in that space, but it's sort of, I think it's off the pace now. Outlook and Skype, yeah, SharePoint. WeChat, yeah, that's a great program. So WeChat's an alternative to Skype. Actually, Sue put me onto that. I think it's run by the Chinese, so probably the Chinese government probably runs that, and it's probably getting all their business secrets. But great program. It seems to work on quite low bandwidth and everything else. So it's WeChat, W-E-Chat. All right. What are we using for finances? So for a while there was only Xero and another competitor whose name escapes me right this second, Sasu. Thank you, Justin. So they're up. But what's going on? So, yeah, so Rod's using his wife. That's software, I'm sure. Phoenix, yep. Excel, yeah. MyOb, yeah. Sage, Banklick, yeah. Banklink's a great program, yeah. Reckon hosted, yeah. Xero. I use Xero. I find it particularly good. then again, I'm not much of a bookkeeper. All right, and operational software. I mean, this will depend a little bit on your industry, but I'd just be interested to see what sort of software people are using to manage the operational side of their business. As I said, for me, My Shop Online is pretty important. It's a basic core tool for how I coach and work with people. Yeah, Packet. Yeah, so that's a special pack house system. Yeah, Canvas. Yeah. Okay, I'm not familiar with Canvas in it, so thank you for that. All right, so let's give us some Handysoft. Yep. That's given us some insights into the software that other people are using. I thought I'd just quickly take you through some of my the ecosystem stuff that I use. As sometimes people just don't quite grasp what I'm talking about when we talk about different software. So let's just I'll take you through it. So this is a basic sort of schematic, I guess, diagram of my ecosystem. And the core components for me are email, and I use a couple of email systems there. But email and Trello are pretty important. And then in that information and data area, I use Untitled, which is the CRM that I use for store my client information. I use Evernote, which is around information storage, around reference materials and notes and other things, and it interfaces with my LIVESCRIBE pen. I use OneDrive for data storage because it interfaces with lots of things nowadays. So it interfaces with Untitled, it interfaces with Trello, Office 365 products, all that sort of stuff. So really quite powerful. In terms of communication, you know, Skype, GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting are pretty important. Also, as most of you would, if you've been on our website, I use programs called Snagit and ScreenFlow for doing video, and Audacity for recording audio as well. And then all those sort of things work together quite nicely. I use Receipt Bank and Xero for my finances. So Receipt Bank's a great program. I'll take you through it in a minute, but it allows me to just take a snapshot of any receipts that I get, and it uploads automatically, and they process those. My bookkeeper can have a look at them and automatically load them across into Xero. So a great program. I use TripIt for when I travel. It integrates with both my email, my calendar, and a very, very powerful program. So let's have a look through sort of quickly and why I picked different ones. So the core linkages are really important in this process. So for me, Evernote works really well because it integrates with my LiveScribe pen, and we'll talk about LiveScribe in a second. It integrates with Cloud Magic, which is my email program. It integrates also with Untitled, integrates with Airmail, which is the other email program I use, and all the browsers that I use. So it integrates neatly with those, and I'll show you how that works in a second. Trello links in with the email programs, with Cloud Magic. It links in with OneDrive. It links in with Google Calendar, and so it's just fantastic in that space. Okay. Untighted's CRM. It integrates with my email programs. It integrates with Google Calendar, with OneDrive, with Xero, and with contacts off my mobile phone and everything else. TripIt's amazing. It scans my emails, finds all my reservations and travel bookings, pulls them up, and builds an itinerary, and then loads that itinerary across into Google Calendar. So a fantastic tool if you travel. Xero links with Receipt Bank and Untitled, and the great thing about Xero is you've got live bank feeds, so it logs into my bank accounts and pulls up all my feeds and that sort of stuff. In terms of email, I use Cloud Magic on my iOS system, and it's great because it really does integrate well with Evernote and Trello, so I can just drop stuff straight from my email straight into either of those programs, and into OneDrive, and Airmail I use on my Mac at the moment until they get the Cloud Magic version sorted. It's pretty good. OneDrive I use for data storage. It integrates with just about everything now. I see that Trello's just done a whole new interface built around that. And then Google Calendar, I've stopped using Apple Calendar and other calendars because I find Google Calendar just works with everybody. So it's a bit more useful. So they're the apps that I use. So let's just, if we've got some time, and we do, I'll take you through some of my key apps that I really use. Well, So I've skipped a page. So the first one that I find really important is Trello, and Trello is a great app, and I'm going to show you how I use it in just a second. But it's a powerful task management tool that enables my team and I in the Philippines, so Ray and Chris, who I can't do without. Ray's online here with us tonight, and Chris maybe as well. It allows us to collaborate and work together and do planning. It's got easy drag and drop navigation. I can add in files from OneDrive or Dropbox or whatever. The basic version is free. The premium version is a modest price. I think it's $50 a year or something. It's really useful. Now, I guess the other options that you've got for that sort of thing are Kanban Flow, which is the program we used before that. One called Basecamp, basecamphq.com. We'll put links to these onto the resources page. Basecamp is quite a powerful program. It's probably more powerful than I needed. And another one that I found particularly good was Bitrix, B-I-T-R-I-X, Bitrix 24, which was an excellent package, but probably too powerful for my small organization. But I think it's free up to 15 users and really quite collaborative and a great program. Now, just bear with me while I mess with the technology, but we're going to go and have a look at, no, we don't want to cancel the webinar. Let's go and have a look at some of these programs. So if we go into Trello, so this is a typical card in Trello. So Trello is constructed of, if I can actually just drive this, I just have to move some technology out of the way. So if we can come over here, so Trello is composed of boards. So there's a number of different boards that I have, and this is one that I can show you because it's got no client information on it. This is just our webinar board. And on it you can see we've got three sort of columns. Webinars we've planned, webinars are in progress, webinars that we've completed, and then some routine tasks that Ray and Chris work on. And each of them is a card, so each of these, we can drag these around from column to column. But this is the latest webinar that this is the one we're doing now. You can see here we've added a whole range of attachments to it, so it allows us to put a description in, a title, a due date, the members of the team, so there's Ray and Chris. I add those in. We can add checklists to it, so we've got a checklist here. We haven't finished it off, but the checklist there, and so it was all done. And then it allows us to put documents. So we've got about 26 documents attached to this, a whole range of different things. You can see that we go backwards and forwards with comments, and so we talk and communicate around these around on this card, and it goes backwards and forwards. So it gives me an email. Whenever Ray makes a comment on something, she makes a post, it sends me an email saying, here's the post on Ray, and I can respond to it either by emailing back or logging in and looking at it. So really quite powerful because we can have structured conversations around particular tasks and activities. I particularly like the fact that I can drag things around and do things. When you add attachments, you can add them from, apps like, if we go add an attachment here, you can see here, from my computer, from Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, attach a link in, do whatever you like. So really powerful tool, really useful, and you can set up multiple boards, multiple different things. So that's Trello. Great program. As I said, other ones you might want to look at that are similar. This structure of cards and columns is called Kanban from the lean manufacturing stuff. So this is a Kanban system. So Kanban Flow is one. Basecamp's a different model altogether, but really powerful. I talked about information storage, and for me, I use Evernote. Now, what I've done here, because I'm traveling and I'm somebody else's thing, I've logged into Evernote. So Evernote is a really powerful program. There's a version for your phone, a version for your iPad, a version for your desktop, and then there's also a web-based version. So you can log into any of these log into any of these programs when you're on the run. So I'm not on my computer at all now, but I've logged in. I've got all my data here. So if you have a look at it, this is information that I've just been able to I've just collected. So what's going on here? All right, so you can add information. You can just type it in. You can clip some information. So this is information that I've added. I just copied that from something I'm on. And to show you what I'm talking about when I say you can clip information and copy it, if we go to my website, so here's my website here. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. Spent a lot of time there. Up here, I've installed the Evernote clipper. So I just go clip to Evernote. It pops up and says, where do you want to save it to? We'll put it into the reference notebook. So Evernote's constructed around notebooks. So I've got about 50 notebooks, and it pulls all those in. It says, do you want to save an article, full page, whatever? I just go, you can change the title and do whatever you want. But we'll just go save that. And it says, it starts clipping it, and it saves it across to Evernote. All right, so it's now syncing with the web version. And if we go into Evernote in just a second, we'll go here, and there should be a version. It should pop up for us in just a second. All right, so if we click down here, please work. It will. It should pop up. We're in the reference notebook. There's a whole series of notebooks here, and it will turn up any second now. You know, when I practiced this, it took 9 seconds before. So there you go. All right. So I'll come back to that and I'll show you that it does work. So you just clip it and it comes straight across. And obviously it's got to sync via the internet at some point. I just love it when the technology works. Evernote, really powerful, allows us to store information in a variety of formats. So if this internet works quickly for me, we'll pull it back up again. What I can do is I can add information in a range of formats into this. Okay, so there you go. So there's my website, brought in, fully clipped in there, whatever. But if I want to add in some information, I just go add a new note, add a title to it, you know, test. If I can only type test, and then you can just drag files into it, start clipping. You can add voice memos to it. You can add all sorts of stuff. You can put tags on it. You can do a whole heap of things with it. So it's really a brilliant program. The versions on your iPad and your iPhone, you can actually just take photos and log them in. You can put voice memos in it. You can add video into it. You can add files into it. You can do whatever you like. So Evernote, really powerful product in that space. Okay, you can see here these are all different notes and things we've put in. So here's something on an accounting model from Matt now. So lots of different things that we can do. Here's one here on circuit breaker meetings. Sorry. So you can see here I put a audio file on it. Here's all the rules. I've added a discussion to it, and I've typed some stuff into it. But easily I could have just done some images or whatever here. So lots of different ways to use it, lots of different ways to put things in it. So that's Evernote. Integrates with lots of different programs. Now the smart thing about it is it actually links with my LIVESCRIBE pen, which is probably one of the better things that it does. And my handwritten notes come across into the straight into Evernote, and it's really quite brilliant. So if I go back and just look at all my notes here, you can see here it'll pull up different notes that I've made. Now they're handwritten notes that came straight across from my computer. All right. From my computer, from my pen. So actually, LIVESCRIBE pen is quite a smart system. I actually use it we'll head back over here. I actually use it to make handwritten notes in a notepad, and it comes straight across into Evernote via my phone. Very, very smart system for about $200. So all your handwritten notes then become searchable and available to you in Evernote, and you can tag them and file them and everything else. So you can just carry your notebooks around with you, knowing that they're constantly backed up. And so when your notebook's full, you just start another one, and your old notebooks are still there. You don't lose them, or you've got electronic versions of everything. So really smart. If you spend any time writing or taking notes you need to hang on to, then have a good look at a LiveScribe pen, because it integrates with other things. Office 365, you know, there's Mac and Windows versions of this. Just a great product. You know, it's cheap. It's about $10 per month for about 5 users on a home package. The business package is pretty good as well. Always up to date with the software, so you get the latest versions of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote, and Publisher. You get a terabyte of free storage with OneDrive per user, which is pretty cool. You get 60 minutes of free Skype calls. And if you're using things like Microsoft Exchange and all those sorts of things, then they all integrate in very nicely. So the versions are available for Mac, PC, tablets, smartphones. So seriously good product. Well done, Microsoft. Talk about OneDrive. OneDrive, a great product. It's about storage. I actually like Dropbox better. I think the Dropbox interface is better than OneDrive. But OneDrive comes, as I said, it integrates really well with just about everything that I do. So it makes perfect sense to use OneDrive, and it's a great thing. So other popular ones are Dropbox.com, Box.net, those sorts of things. Insightly, I was going to show you through Insightly, but I've got too much client information in it. I don't want to share that, but Insightly is a great CRM. For those of you who haven't used a CRM or a customer relationship management tool, it's a great way to store and organize your client information and customer information, because you can put tags on it or put them into different groups, so you can send different people different emails. You can follow up with people. You can book tasks in it, you can put them into calendars, you can do all sorts of different things with it. You can track opportunities, you can track projects with it, you know, whatever you need to do. It's a really powerful system. Now there are others around, as we talked about tonight, Capsule and others. I used Zoho for quite a while. I just found the interface with Zoho wasn't very intuitive, although it was quite a good product, and I found Insightly to be an excellent product. All right, in terms of video conferencing, I use Skype. Sue mentioned WeChat. They're really quite good. Great alternative to using the phone. There's nothing like being able to see people and see the nuance of their communication while you're talking with them. I find people stay more engaged with you because they know that you're watching, so they don't go off and check their emails and stuff while you're talking to them. And I think that's really important. It's also a great way to reduce travel and all those sorts of things, and all the time we waste doing those things. Works across all devices: desktop, tablet, smartphone. So I actually did a coaching call to somebody in the UK in my car the other day, parked at the park at Tyro in central Queensland. So we can use Skype just about anywhere. GoToWebinar is a great tool, and GoToMeeting is its younger brother or sister. They're fantastic for if you want to have more complex meetings where you want to share documents and use webcams, all that sort of stuff. They're a premium product, so GoToWebinar is about $100 US a month, and GoToMeeting's about $50 a month. So you can make unlimited calls. I think GoToMeeting's up to 15 people. GoToWebinar's up to about 1,000. So looking forward to that, and we max that out on some of these webinars. All right. In terms of TripIt, those of you who travel, we just got to use this. It's probably one of it's a real value add app, because it actually goes and gets information and creates stuff for you. It's very smart. It tracks flights and updates you on delays. So often TripIt will update me on a delay in a flight before Qantas or Virgin will. So it's pretty powerful in that space. The premium version is about $50 a year. There's also a free version. Great thing is it works on web, tablet, smartphone versions, so you take it with you. In terms about finances, talking about Xero, Receipt Bank. Receipt Bank just really enables me to take photos of my receipts. So when I travel, take photos of my receipts. So instead of coming home with a wallet full of receipts that I then don't have enough time to ever sit down and actually do anything with, Receipt Bank, I take a photo of it, it uploads to their server. Somebody else around the world takes the details off that receipt, of the vendor name, sometimes their ABN and that sort of stuff, but also the amount, the tax amount, the date, all that sort of stuff, and files it. My bookkeeper then comes in and codes it against the relevant Xero code for my Xero chart of accounts, and then when she hits upload, it uploads automatically into Xero. So Kylie does a great job on that. What it does then is Receipt Bank then remembers the coding. So the next time, I stop at Sexy Coffee for a coffee and plug it in and take a photo of it, then Xero actually, sorry, not Xero, Receipt Bank actually measures that. Now, just wanted you to think about how this stuff works together, I'll come back to some of your comments in a minute and share them. But I guess one of the things that the way I use some of these tools are, for example, I can be on site with a client, and then so this is an example here. We wrote up a role profile. I used it with Evernote. With LiveScribe, transferred it straight to Evernote. I emailed that directly onto Ray, or passed that on to Ray through Evernote. She typed it up for me instantly, and then uploaded it to Trello, so it was there when I got back to the office. So within 20-30 minutes, we had a full product that was just there, because automatically uploads straight to Evernote. I was able to just flick on the link to Evernote to Ray. Ray typed it up, uploaded it to Trello, so I knew where to find it. So, and we saved it into OneDrive as well. So that's how you can make this sort of stuff. All right, so we've got a bit of a slow connection here. I'm sorry about that. So I've got some questions. I'll just go through some of these questions. Yeah. Do I share notebooks from Evernote, or do I just share via Trello? I do share notebooks, and we've just set up a project with a client that I've won for a project that I've just won, and we're going to use Evernote as the main way of storing all that information and sharing that across the team that's working on it. Yeah, it's quite easy to share notebooks and stuff in Evernote, but it just depends on who I need to share it with. Yeah, right. Evernote also does business card scanning. Yeah, that's right. And Sketch is another Evernote tool. I'm not sure what Sketch does, but it's not something that I use. You might let us know what Sketch does, Justin. Question here from Nabil. Nabil, why do I use a LiveScribe pen and not write into OneNote or Evernote directly? I actually don't like writing on the technology, so I just like to write in a notebook. I find it's far more natural. I actually don't like to sit there and write on my iPad or my iThing when I'm working with clients. I find it's far better for me to concentrate on the job at hand rather than the technology. So LiveScribe is just a pen, so I just write, I do notes, and I do everything else. I think if I'm going to use use a stylus or something to write directly onto my iPad, I'm going to mess around with the technology too much and just not stay focused. Do I have a program that types the notes up? There are versions that you can use, I think, that work with OneNote and Evernote. They did have one, but I don't write that neatly. That I don't think any program's ever going to be able to decipher that. Poor Ray in the Philippines does a wonderful job of deciphering my handwriting, so I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. All right, what we got here? Alternatives to go to webinar. There are some, Nabil, but I'm not aware of them in that space. And I'm not sure. So Webinar Jam is one that you were suggesting. Okay, so Webinar Jam is an alternative to webinar. So all right, so Clearly is another Evernote tool that gets rid of all the ads, etc. around articles. Okay, great for research. Excellent. Sketch is a screen capture tool, allow you to type on the screen, circle items and so on, and add audio syncs into Evernote. Okay, fantastic. Okay, consider using Scannable, part of the Evernote stable. No need for the LiveScribe pen. I've still got to write the notes somewhere, Graham, so I don't know how I get the notes in there. If I've got to take photos of them, then I just won't do it. I'm just too lazy. But it's up to you. I think it's about finding stuff that works for you. All right. Join.me is a GoToWebinar alternative. There you go. Thanks, Justin. What about crappy internet? Yeah, yeah. I've no help for that, Sue. I've got steam powered internet in Bundaberg, so yeah, and looks like we've got a bit of a slow connection tonight as well. All right. So, any other questions just while we're going through some apps and different things? Some, or some comments on things that really work for you, because I think you can go through some examples of things that might work for you, but at the end of the day, I think it's also about finding stuff. Finding things that work for other people, but it's about finding things that make you more productive and work for you in the way that you think and operate and stuff. So for me, that question of using a pen is far more preferable to writing on a screen. Yeah. Yeah, I guess Sue's made the comment, it makes you scared to try some of these things and be too reliant on it. I think, yeah, it does, but I think there's far more to be gained by the leverage you can get from some of these tools in terms of improving your productivity and those sorts of things. I think if you go with larger mainstream products and they're well backed up and all that sort of stuff, then the danger of losing data and stuff is not there. And it's a matter of playing with them. People say to me, where do you find the time to do this? Well, I just do. Yeah. I don't have any worries about files on the cloud being hacked. I think there's danger of that, but there's just as big a danger of my files being hacked. I think Google and these guys, they employ the best hackers in the world to go and work on their side and try and make their stuff hack proof. I've got a domestic grade security system at best. And I think any hacker worth his salt will take him about 5 seconds to hack into my system. Now, that being said, a number of years ago, my previous website got hacked, and we had to take the whole thing down. It wasn't on my end; it was actually at the server end. So I don't know what you do about that. I think you just got to have good backups and all those sorts of things. Yeah, yeah. Tony likes a pen as well. I don't have multiple. Noel has asked the question, how do I go with multiple mobiles? Dual SIM or divert to another? I don't have multiple mobiles. I just have the one mobile phone. I'm not smart enough to remember multiple numbers. So, yeah, I just go with one mobile phone. I think if I had to do multiple mobiles, I would probably, given I'm all Apple, and Apple don't necessarily do a dual SIM version that I know of, I would just divert one phone to another and use that. I think simplify your life and get one phone if you need to, or if you've got one for phone, one for personal, one for business. You may be able to sort that out with different phone rings or whatever for different numbers, so that you get some stuff. So you get some ease of management. Yeah. Yeah, I do find Office 365 is a bit slow. It seems to want to download. So Sue's made the comment that the internet slowness. Yeah, I do find that Office 365 wants to go and check everything and download a new version of it and that sort of stuff. But I've just changed that around, and I make sure I load straight from the hard drive rather than doing that. And I don't use the online version of Word and PowerPoint. I use the desktop version with all those things. So. All right, so that's good. Running close on time, so we might just push on. I don't want to take another webinar where we go over. I guess some productivity stuff you might want to think about, and we touched on it briefly last week, but I skipped over it, and is to make use of video and audio instead of email. I find email is a tool that's difficult to use. It's time consuming. Most of us don't write particularly well, and if you if you do write that well, you probably should be doing copywriting or something for a living, or writing novels or something. I think we can get across a lot more information, far more nuance into the conversation by using video or audio. I tend to use audio a lot because my internet's just too slow to upload video all the time. I do know a number of people who use video. So what they will do is they'll have, let's say they've got an email from me, they'll have their email on the screen, they'll use a screen capture program like Snagit, and they will use Snagit to respond to that. So they'll say, hey Russ, thanks for your email, blah, 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 and they'll talk through their response to me, highlight bits they want to talk about, those sort of things, and then hit save, and Snagit has a one-step upload process, so it just goes to the screencast area and then you get a link and send it on. So really quite powerful, and the productivity enhancements are pretty amazing. I did one the other day. It took me 18 minutes to actually type the email out. It took me 3 minutes to say more content than I said in the 18 minutes of typing. Admittedly, I'm not a particularly fast typer, but I'm not actually slow. And 3 minutes to record it and upload it. Send it onto the client. So really powerful. Yeah, Kenya, yeah, in love with Snagit, excellent. Yeah, I've seen some of the videos you've been doing lately. Well done. So think about how you can use the technology a bit better to get, I think, a better result for everybody than sitting down and typing emails out. I think you need to have, I don't think you just send people files necessarily, but you might want to put some key points down, but expand on those key points either using video or audio to get, I guess, more powerful engagement. All right, so the tools I use in that space, just in case you're interested, Snagit by TechSmith is it's a cheap product. I think it's about 50 or 60 bucks. It's a really smart little product. It just sits on the edge of your screen, and you just click a little button, and it pops up, and you either highlight the area you want to record, or you can take a screenshot, just a snapshot of it, or you can take a whole video and send it. And then, as I said, if you set it up right from the first point, it would automatically upload that video to whatever site you like and send you the URL. It copies the URL into your clipboard and you just paste it into an email or whatever. It's a really smart piece of software. Its big brother's called Camtasia. Camtasia's got screen capture software in it as well, but it also allows you to do a lot more editing. So if you want to edit your videos and mess around with them a bit more, and you're going to do a bit more of that stuff, you'd probably use Camtasia over Snagit, although Snagit is very quick and very easy to use. I use Audacity, which is a free program for recording audio. Really powerful audio package, and very quickly converts files into MP3 or whatever for emailing on. Because they're such smaller file sizes, you can actually email them as having to send a link. All right, so that's most of the technology that I use. So I hope that's been of some use to you. All right, so just in summary from this afternoon, we need to focus on some of these structural issues, and I think some of the tools and things we've talked about are all about focusing on structure, getting that structure right, so that we understand what, I guess, we get as much leverage as we can out of the tools that are at our disposal. Really still need to go back and make sure we're getting rid of the waste and efficiency out of what we're doing. Part of that is remembering about what it is you're doing with your time. If you're wasting time then doing stuff, then you need to make sure that you're actually getting the technology to help you out. And then the last one. Remember the 6-step process. Get your core technology right. I mean, this doesn't have to be complex. Trevor said he needs a Bex and a good lie down. I don't think it has to be that complex, Trev. I really don't. I think if you just take the time to go, right, what's the technology I use? Does it all work together? Or have I bought myself a lemon in terms of some technology that's just not really functioning? So if I bought myself a BlackBerry or something that really doesn't work with anything else, okay, you might have to get rid of that and crash that one. Then think about what are the key elements of your ecosystem. Select the core apps. So think about the apps that are really important to you. Email is really important. I think information storage is really important, and then some of the communication tools that sit around that are important. But select your core apps. Make sure they do the job you want them to do really well, and that they increase your productivity. Okay. Then do a cross-check with them and say, do they work across all the platforms? So does it work on my desktop? Does it work on my mobile? Does it work on my tablet? Whatever whatever you happen to use. So do they work across all the platforms? And then how well do they integrate with other apps? And if they're not integrating well with other apps, if they're orphans, then I'd be looking at another product. Even maybe it's not quite as good as that product, because it will fit with the other ones and it will give you far more productivity. You're not going to waste time copying stuff between things or manual linking things or doing other stuff. It needs to be automatic. It needs to be seamless to give you some real leverage out of that technology. I don't think it has to be hard. I don't think you have to have lots and lots of systems. Some of those, if you think about it, I've probably got 5 or 6 key core programs that I use that are really important. So, 6 steps. Technology, does it work together? What do you really need to have? So what are the things that are really important to you in your business? Select the apps that are fit for purpose and do that. Do they work across all platforms? And then do they work with each other? Okay. Yeah. Got a question here. What happens when what crashes? You might just expand on that, and I'll come back to it. All right, so that's our program for today. Remember, we'll send you out the notes from today, a copy of this recording, and links to different apps and all that sort of stuff. So that'll be all on the Resource Centre. So Ray and Chris will get that out to you in the next couple of days. Remember, we've got a couple of diagnostics on our website. You're really welcome to go there and use our free diagnostics. So one's a business diagnostic, so that's where you can go and answer 25 questions about your business. It will come back and tell you the 3 or 4 priority areas that you need to focus on. We've got another one that's around your change success. So if you've got a project that you're trying to put in place or you're trying to make some change in your business, go and use our change success diagnostic. Again, answer about 25 questions. There are 10 key areas of our change success model that are really important. The model, the diagnostic will come back and tell you the areas that you need to focus on so that you can be more successful. We've also got blog articles, we've got videos, we've got all sorts of stuff on the website. You're welcome to go there. Make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter, and that'll keep you up to date with what's going on. For those of you who aren't clients of mine and would love to be, really happy to have you on. And to come on board as a client. First step in that process is to have a 10-minute phone call with me. So we'll do a Skype call or something, because there needs to be a good fit. I'm not right for everybody, and everybody's not right for me. So I want to make sure there's a good fit between us, a bit of chemistry there, because we're going to work quite closely together. If there's that chemistry and we work together quite well, then I'll then book another time with you to have a conversation. We can talk about how much it might cost and what might be involved in that process. To do that, just go to the link site and follow the links to do you want to grow your business, and it'll allow you to book a time with me using a great piece of software that Justin put me on to called Calendly. All right, so got a couple of questions here. Okay, what if it all crashes? I haven't had the problem yet where something has crashed and taken everything out, Nola. Most of these systems stand alone, and you may not be able to access things, but normally there's multiple ways into them as well. So if one sort of mechanism for being able to access that piece of software goes down, then sometimes all the others will work. Obviously, a lot of them are dependent on internet connection, but again, I've normally found that because I've got them on multiple devices, it's very rarely that my landline and my mobile internet will go down at the same time. If that happens for me, it's going to happen for lots of people. So if they both go down together, then we're all in trouble. I haven't had that happen yet, but I have happened where the landline's gone down or there's been a blackout or something. Still been able to use my mobile tools to get me there. Okay, yeah, and video is a great tool for doing that sort of stuff. All right, guys, thanks very much. Appreciate your support and coming along here today. We had a great roll-up. And look forward to catching up with you next. Our next webinar will be in about 6 weeks' time, and if you've been looking at my Trello screen, you would realise we haven't probably planned it yet, but we'll be on to do that soon. So have a great evening, and if you've got any other questions or comments, just type them into the question box. All right. Thanks.